Raila Amolo Odinga launched his AU bid recently in State House, and we had 5 or more presidents whom attended this kind of a launch. Then now, after that, we had various platforms in Kenya, particularly the media stations, where we have been having discussions, people talking about whether Raila will win or not. I picked the sentiments of Okuro Court professor who was speaking about Raila Amolo Odinga's bid for the AU chairmanship seat. And according to him, Raila Amolo Odinga is not qualified, first of all, and Raila Amolo Odinga is not going to win. Then now this prompted me to now start researching further. Where does Raila Amolo Odinga fail to qualify, and why is it going to be difficult for him to win? That is going to form the basis of this analysis here. But before I do so, kindly, if this is the first time you're watching our videos, please kindly make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, because that is the best support you can always give this channel. Now, why does Ekuru Okode feel that Raila Amolo Odinga is not qualified? When I went through the qualifications that are required there, I realized that Raila Amolo Odinga qualifies because I don't think he could have applied for the AU chairmanship seat race if, first of all, he does not have the academic credentials of having a master's degree. Second, if is not fluent in the languages that are needed. Those are the two things that were stumbling, but that could have prevented Raila Amolo Odinga to proceed. However, the other requirements, like now being from the region that is going to present their leader, now it's the town for East African countries, and Raila Amolo Odinga comes from there. That means he qualifies. The issue of gender was no longer an issue of consideration because right now as we speak, they dropped it, and now Raila Amolo Odinga is free to vie for the seat just like any other candidate. Then now, I went to the other part. What could be preventing Raila Amolo Odinga again not to win as far as the sentiments of Ekuru Court are concerned? Ekuru Court was very clear that Raila was not going to win and the guy for Djibouti is going to beat him very early in the morning. Also, when I went on Twitter, I've done a video here to show you how, guys, I feel very strongly that Kenyans don't support Raila Amolo Odinga based on the responses that they're making on X. Kenyans are really bitter with him. So therefore, I don't want to talk about it that much because I've already done a video about it. But now, Raila Amolo Odinga has some factors that are going to affect his race. And major factors from here that I want to touch on this video here today, it is the alignments that are happening in Africa as far as the eastern and western parts of this world are concerned. In Africa, we have countries that are allied to the west, others that are allied to the east. But we have to accept that the majority of the African countries are calling for one simple thing: African independence, the Pan-Africanism. Therefore, any country that is allied to the west or east, probably they're having some kind of betrayal. Anyway, putting that aside, the battle between those that are allied to the east, those that are allied to the west, is going to be clearly shown on this AU chairmanship seat battle. Those that are supporting the those that are allied to the western part, that's like US, like Kenya now, and those that are allied to the other parts like Russia and China, are going to determine who is going to become the AU chairmanship seat on this basis. Their interests. If you represent the interests of the east and west, that means you're going to be considered by the eastern countries, allied countries. If you are supporting the US and Western countries, that means that you are going to be supported by countries that are going to be allied to the Western countries. That is very clear that Raila Amolo Odinga is having a tough challenge ahead because right now as we speak, most of the countries in Africa are allied to the West, others to the East. So there's already division in Africa. The division that you've experienced right now, it's going to affect Raila Amolo Odinga heavily. However, the division can be normal because if Raila is neutral, there's a very clear chance of him going to win the seat because everyone knows him. But now there's a big challenge here. William Samoei Arap Ruto, the president of the Republic of Kenya. Why is he a challenge now? Why is he a stumbling block for Raila Amolo Odinga? William Ruto has been purporting to speak on behalf of Africa across the world. Whenever he goes, he talks about Africa so much, saying that Africa needs these financial policies, Africa does not this and that. He has spoken in various platforms and he has spoken as an African leader. He has been seen in various platforms, and actually recently was given a state visit by the United States of America. Despite it had issues with Kenya because of the jet that was used. It was significant in the basis that he is now most preferred by the America and the Western countries. Kenya was even announced to become the non-NATO former ally or informal ally or something of that kind. That means Kenya is so much taken into the West. Now we have countries that are allied to the east. What are we going to say about these countries? These countries are going to also prefer their leader. Where is the guy from Djibouti allied to? Countries that are allied to the east. How many countries are there in Africa? There are so many, despite that we can't quote them here. There are so many countries in Africa that are allied to the east and Russia, which means that there's a possibility Raila can lose the seat based on these battles that are being held internationally, where the west and the east are fighting on the African soil. So the interests of these countries have to be represented by a leader who is allied to them. Now that Raila through Ruto is allied to the west, probably those countries that are allied to the east, their leaders are going to vote against Raila Amolo Odinga. And that becomes a huge stumbling block for Raila Amolo Odinga right now. However, if Ruto steps back from visiting these countries, avoids now restraints from going to Western countries, a restraint from speaking, and at some point comes out boldly to speak against some of the policies from these Western countries, Raila Amolo Odinga probably might lose this seat. I don't know what is your view as far as Raila Amolo Odinga is concerned, but can let me see in the comment section whether Raila is going to lose or win the AU chairmanship seat. However, when I also checked about the qualifications that were given here, I also noted a very simple thing, that Raila Amolo Odinga, of course, being a head of government, when he was a prime minister, he's qualified. The other Djibouti guy is also a foreign affairs minister, former one. So that means this guy is almost at the same level. But now, there's one factor again I want to look at here, the age factor. Raila Amolo Odinga is now 80 years. That means precisely that going forward, the younger guy might be preferred because of the energy to move across the more than 50 countries of Africa. That means, very well, from the normal understanding, if the two guys come with the same experience, probably people will take the younger one, who is a bit strong, vibrant, and eloquent, to represent the issues of Africa well. Because you have the majority of the youths in Africa, and we have the requirement of energetic people, of course, in this seat. Checking clearly what's happening, the outgoing AU Commission chairperson is younger than Raila Amolo Odinga. That shows very well, as we proceed forward, Raila Amolo Odinga is disadvantaged because of his age. Now, when you mix the issue to do with the eastern and western east battle on the African soil, where the western countries and the eastern countries are ensuring they're putting a leader in Africa who is going to represent their grievances, Raila is going to be affected. That means that factor cannot be left out. Another factor, considering the age, also considering the factor that Ruto is also very seriously allied to the West, and also to add above all, the issue to do with the friendship that is in Africa, probably it's going to be very difficult for Raila Amolo Odinga to win the seat. But we wish him all the best, and we hope that is going to be considered by the African leaders. Last thing I want to talk about is the strength of Raila Amolo Odinga. One thing you have to accept, Raila Amolo Odinga has friends across Africa. Starting from Ramaphosa, his friend in South Africa, where he attended actually, I think, his inauguration. Going to the western parts of Africa, going to other countries in Africa, Raila Amolo Odinga has so many friends. I feel strongly that they vote for him and in his support, because he has demonstrated now and then, not once, not twice, that he's also independent when it comes to the mind that he has. Raila Amolo Odinga also has demonstrated Pan-Africanism now through Kenya, where he has always been championing for some of the things happening in Africa, and also castigating some of the efforts like rigging of elections by the aid of the Western countries, particularly in the country now, Kenya, where he comes from. We hope that the African leaders are going to consider him and also make the right choice for Africa to prosper. Let me see on your comment section still whether you think Raila is going to win or not. That is my video there and there. If this is the first time once again you're watching, please make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, because that's the best support you can always give this channel. My name is Abil Mukwa.